Here's something that'll blow your mind. Most of your exhaustion isn't physical. It's emotional, and it comes from three words you probably say 100 times a day without even noticing. Should, must, need. Every time you tell yourself things should be different, you must have what you want, or you need reality to change, you're burning energy fighting against what simply is. And you're losing every single time. Listen, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you wake up tired even after sleeping 8 hours. More importantly, you're going to learn how to stop wasting your energy on battles that cannot be won. You're frustrated because you keep trying so hard, harder than everyone around you it seems, and you're still exhausted. You think you need better time management, more coffee, or maybe you're just getting old. But that's not it. The exhaustion comes from what I call masturbation, and yeah, that's the actual term I use. If when you go around demanding that reality must be different, your boss must respect you, traffic must be lighter, your body must feel better, and every one of those musts is a drain on your energy. I'm not going to tell you to accept everything or be positive. That's garbage. I'm going to show you how to stop disturbing yourself unnecessarily so you have energy for what actually matters. So let me start with the biggest lie you're probably telling yourself right now. Most people believe their exhaustion comes from external circumstances, too much work, difficult people, bad luck. But the real energy drain is internal. It's the constant demand that reality should be different than it is. Think about it. You're literally arguing with things that already happened or already exist. Your partner said that hurtful thing, that's reality now. Arguing that they shouldn't have said it doesn't change that they did. You're just burning energy on something that's already done. It's like yelling at a broken glass to unbreak itself. The glass doesn't care. It's still broken, and you're just tired and hoarse. Here's what I want you to do. Every time you say should, must, have to, or need about something outside your control, I want you to recognize that's your cue. You're setting yourself up for what I call emotional disturbance. Not just discomfort, actual disturbance. There's a big difference between I don't like this, which is healthy, and this absolutely should not be happening, which is you disturbing yourself. Let me give you an example. Traffic. You're sitting in traffic and you're thinking, this is ridiculous. There shouldn't be this much traffic. I need to get to work on time. This must clear up. Every one of those thoughts is burning energy. The traffic exists. It doesn't care what you think about it. But you're over here running a mental motor that's not connected to any wheels. You're revving and going nowhere, and then you wonder why you're exhausted when you finally get to work. Now, think about yesterday. Really think about it. How much time did you spend frustrated that things weren't different? Not problem-solving time, not productive worry, just pure frustration that reality was what it was instead of what you wanted. That's not doing anything useful. That's pure energy waste. And here's the kicker. The smarter you are, the worse this gets. Because the smarter you are, the better you are at building cases for why reality should be different. You can construct elaborate logical arguments for why your expectations are reasonable, why people should treat you better, why the world should be fairer, why your body should be healthier. Beautiful arguments. Perfectly logical. And reality doesn't give a damn about any of it. Reality just is what it is. I used to use this example with my clients. Imagine you're standing in the rain and you're screaming, it shouldn't be raining. This is terrible. I can't stand getting wet. This is awful. Rain is the worst thing ever. You could do that. Or you could say, I don't like rain. Let me get an umbrella. Same situation. Same rain. Massively different energy expenditure. One approach has you soaking wet and exhausted from screaming. The other has you slightly damp and moving on with your day. Now you might be thinking, but Albert, some things really shouldn't happen. Bad things. Unfair things. People shouldn't be cruel. Diseases shouldn't exist. Accidents shouldn't happen. And you're right. Some things are genuinely bad. But here's what you need to understand about the difference between healthy and unhealthy negative emotions. There's a crucial difference between appropriate negative feelings and what I call emotional disturbance. Appropriate negative feelings are things like disappointment, concern, sadness, frustration. These are proportional to reality. Something bad happened, you feel bad about it. That's healthy. That's normal. That's not what's exhausting you. What's exhausting you is the emotional disturbance. Depression, rage, overwhelming anxiety, despair. And these don't come from a bad thing that happened. They come from your demand that the bad thing absolutely must not have happened. See the difference? Let me break this down. Healthy response. I strongly prefer that this didn't happen, and I'm disappointed. Unhealthy response. This absolutely must not have happened, and it's awful that it did. The difference? Energy. The first acknowledges reality. The second fights it. And fighting reality always drains you. This is what I call awfulizing. Something bad happens, and then you add layers to it. This is awful. This is terrible. This is the worst thing that could happen. But is it really? Or is it just bad? Because there's a difference between bad and awful. Bad is on the scale. Awful is off the scale. And most things that happen, they're bad, not awful. But when you awfulize, you take a 5 on the bad thing scale and you turn it into a 10 in your mind. That extra 5 points? That's pure self-created suffering. That's you making yourself more exhausted than you need to be. Then there's what I call I can't stand it-itis. You know this one. I can't stand my job. I can't stand this traffic. I can't stand how my mother talks to me. I can't stand being alone. But here's the thing. You can stand it. The proof? You're standing it right now. If you truly couldn't stand it, you'd be dead. You're not dead. Therefore, you can stand it. When you tell yourself you can't stand something, you're lying to yourself. And that lie creates exhaustion because you're telling yourself you're doing something impossible. No wonder you're tired. You think you're performing miracles just to get through Tuesday. You're not. You're just standing something you don't like, which is uncomfortable, but it's not superhuman. Now here's the permission I want to give you. You don't have to be happy about bad things. You don't have to accept injustice or pretend problems don't exist. But you can acknowledge that something is bad without adding the extra layer of this is unbearable. This shouldn't exist. I can't function with this reality. I worked with a client once who lost his job. When he first came to me, he was completely paralyzed, just exhausted, couldn't even look for new work. And his thoughts were, I absolutely needed that job. This is terrible. My life is ruined. I can't stand being unemployed. This shouldn't have happened to me. All demands, all fighting reality, and all draining every ounce of energy he had. We worked on reframing. Same situation. Lost job. That's reality. But different thoughts. I strongly wanted that job. This really sucks. I don't like being unemployed. Now what are my options? Same disappointment. Same concern. But without the demand that reality be different. And you know what happened? His energy came back. Not because the situation changed. Because he stopped burning fuel fighting what already was. All right, so if demanding that reality be different is exhausting us, what's the alternative? Do we just become doormats? Do we stop caring? Hell no. Let me show you what actually works. Accepting reality doesn't mean approving of it, liking it, or being passive about it. It means acknowledging what is so you can deal with it effectively instead of wasting energy wishing it was different. Listen carefully because this is where people get confused. Acceptance is seeing reality clearly. My boss is difficult. That's acceptance. That's just observing what is. My boss shouldn't be difficult. That's resistance to reality. And here's the thing. Once you accept that your boss is difficult, whether they should be or not is completely irrelevant, you can make strategic decisions. You can set boundaries. You can look for another job. You can adjust your expectations. You could do something, but when you're stuck in they shouldn't be this way, you just spin your wheels. You're not problem solving. You're just upset that you have a problem. Think about all that energy you spend on this shouldn't be. All of it. Every bit of it. That energy can go toward given that this is. What's my best move? Same situation. Same reality. But now you're using your energy to navigate reality instead of fight it. One approach moves you forward. The other keeps you stuck and tired. And this is so important, I'm going to say it again. You can accept and act. This is where people get really confused. They think acceptance means passivity. They think acceptance means you just roll over and let life happen to you. That's nonsense. Complete nonsense. You accept that you're in a burning building. That's reality. The building is on fire. Then you get the hell out. You don't stand there insisting the building shouldn't be on fire. You don't waste time being outraged that someone was careless with matches. The building is on fire. That's what is. Now move. See the difference? Acceptance gives you clarity. It lets you see what's actually happening so you can respond effectively. Resistance clouds everything. It keeps you stuck in outrage and exhaustion while the fire spreads. Here's a little tool I want you to use. Anytime you're feeling exhausted or upset, ask yourself this question. Am I responding to what's actually happening, or am I upset that what's happening is happening? Read that again in your head. Am I responding to the thing, or am I upset that the thing exists? If it's the second one, you're fighting reality. And reality always wins that fight. Always. You can't beat reality. You can only exhaust yourself trying. Now let me talk about preferences versus demands, because this is crucial. Preferences are fine. Preferences are healthy. Preferences are what make you human. I prefer that my partner texts me back quickly. Totally reasonable. I like quick communication. But watch what happens when it becomes a demand. My partner must text me back quickly, or else they don't love me, and this relationship is doomed. See how exhausting that is. See how much anxiety that creates? Keep your preferences strong. I strongly prefer. I really want. I would very much like. All of that is fine. Drop your demands. The musts. The shoulds. The absolute needs. Those are what drain you. I'll tell you a personal story. I had a terminal illness later in my life. Diabetes complications. Not fun. Not what I wanted. Did I like being sick? Of course not. I hated it. But I accepted the reality. I was sick. That was what was. And instead of spending my energy raging about how I shouldn't be sick, how this was unfair, how I couldn't stand it, I focused on what I could still do. I kept working. I kept seeing clients. I kept writing. I kept living. Because I wasn't wasting energy fighting the reality of my illness. I was using that energy to deal with the reality of my illness. That's the difference acceptance makes. It frees up enormous energy for living instead of spending it all on wishing things were different. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great in theory, Albert, but how do I actually do this when I'm in the moment and everything feels awful? Good question. Let me give you the practical tools. This is called the REBT disputation method. REBT stands for Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. It's what I developed, and it's based on a simple idea. You can actively dispute your irrational beliefs in real time. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't repeating affirmations in the mirror. This is questioning the logic of your own demands on reality. Here's how it works. First, you identify the demand. You catch yourself making it. Listen for the words. This must happen. This should be different. This has to work out. People need to treat me better. I absolutely need this promotion. Those are demands. Catch them. Then you ask yourself disputing questions. Where's the evidence that reality must be this way? Really think about it. Where's the proof? Where's the law of the universe that says things have to go your way? There isn't one. Your preference isn't a cosmic law. It's just what you want. And what you want doesn't control reality. Where's it written that things have to go my way? Show me. Point to it. You can't. Because it's not written anywhere. Reality doesn't consult your preferences before deciding what happens. Is this belief helping me or hurting me? Be honest. When you demand that things must be different, does that make you feel better? Does it give you energy? Does it help you solve problems? Or does it make you feel worse, drain your energy, and keep you stuck? Usually it's the second one. Will demanding this change reality? Has it ever? Has demanding that traffic clear up ever made traffic disappear? Has insisting that people should appreciate you ever made them appreciate you? Demanding doesn't change reality. It just exhausts you. Then, and this is crucial, you replace the irrational belief with a rational alternative. You don't just remove it. You replace it. My presentation must go perfectly because I prefer that my presentation goes well. If it doesn't, that would be unfortunate and disappointing, but not the end of the world. I can handle imperfection. See the difference? Same situation. Same desire for a good presentation. But one version sets you up for exhaustion and potential devastation. The other sets you up for healthy motivation and the ability to cope if things go wrong. Here's your homework. For the next week, every time you feel exhausted or upset, write it down. Write down what you're telling yourself. Find the should or the must. Then dispute it. Ask those questions. Then replace it with a preference. This is mental exercise. And like physical exercise, it gets easier with practice. At first, it feels awkward. You might not believe the rational alternative. That's okay. Keep doing it. Your brain will catch up. And watch what happens to your energy. When you successfully dispute and replace, notice the shift. That tightness in your chest, it loosens. That mental fog, it starts to clear. That exhaustion, it begins to lift. Because you're no longer fighting reality. You're dealing with it. I had a client once who came in absolutely distraught. Her mother had been criticizing her for 30 years. And she said to me, "My mother must stop criticizing me or I'll lose my mind." And I said, "Why must she?" She looked at me like I was crazy. "Because it's wrong," she said. "Because it hurts me. Because no mother should talk to their daughter that way." And I said, "Okay, but where's the law that says she must stop? Your mother has been criticizing you for 30 years. That's a pretty long track record. Seems like she's pretty committed to it. Can you stand it?" And she said, "No, I can't stand it." And I said, "But you have stood it. For 30 years. You're standing it right now. So clearly you can stand it. You don't like it. It's unpleasant. But you can stand it. What if she never changes? What if you die and your mother still criticizes you on your deathbed? Can you still have a good life?" And that question stopped her cold. Because she realized she'd been putting her entire happiness on hold waiting for her mother to change. Demanding that her mother must be different. And that demand was draining every ounce of her energy. We worked on shifting from demand to preference. I strongly prefer that my mother stop criticizing me. I've asked her to stop. If she doesn't, I'll limit my contact with her. But I'm not going to waste my life demanding she be different when she's shown me for 30 years who she is. That shift, that freed up enormous energy. Not because her mother changed. Her mother never changed. But she stopped fighting the reality of who her mother was. Okay, you're starting to get this. But there's one more massive energy drain we haven't talked about yet. And it's probably the biggest one. It's what you do to yourself when you screw up. The demands we make on ourselves are even more exhausting than the demands we make on others or the world. Self-condemnation based on perfectionist shoulds is a special kind of energy drain. And most of you are doing it to yourselves every single day. Here's the difference between having standards and making demands on yourself. Having high standards sounds like this. I want to do well, and I'll work hard toward that. Making demands on yourself sounds like this. I absolutely must do this perfectly, or I'm worthless. One motivates you. One exhausts and paralyzes you. And let me tell you about something I call global self-rating. It's horseshit. Complete horseshit. You're not a failure because you failed at something. You're not stupid because you made a mistake. You're not lazy because you rested. You're a human being who sometimes fails, makes mistakes, and needs rest. Rating your whole self based on single actions is irrational and exhausting. Think about it. You mess up at work. One mistake. And you tell yourself, "I'm such an idiot." Really? Your entire being equals one mistake. You've done thousands of things in your life. Some good, some bad, some mediocre. And one mistake makes you globally an idiot? That doesn't even make logical sense. This is where unconditional self-acceptance comes in. You can accept yourself as a fallible human being who will sometimes screw up, disappoint yourself, and not meet your own expectations. That doesn't make you less valuable. It makes you human. And here's the thing people get wrong. This acceptance doesn't make you complacent. It gives you the energy to actually improve. When you mess up and your response is, "I shouldn't have done that. I'm such an idiot. I never get things right," what happens? You feel like garbage. You lose motivation. You want to give up. You're exhausted. That response drains your energy. But when you mess up and your response is, "I don't like that I did that. I wasn't smart. What can I learn from this?" what happens? You keep your energy. You stay motivated. You focus on growth. You move forward. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's self-preservation. It's energy conservation. You need your energy to improve and grow. Don't waste it beating yourself up. Let me give you a challenge. Next time you globally rate yourself, "I'm lazy. I'm a failure. I'm worthless," I want you to prove it. Show me the evidence that your entire being equals one characteristic or one action. You can't do it because it's not true. It's just a habit of thinking. A bad habit that's making you exhausted. I'll tell you about myself. Early in my career, I was terrified of public speaking. Terrified. So I forced myself to do it. I went to a park and I gave a talk to strangers about love and relationships. And I bombed. I was awkward. People walked away. It was uncomfortable as hell. And my rational response? Well, that was uncomfortable and I didn't do well, but I didn't die, and now I'm less afraid. Not, I'm a failure at public speaking. Not, I'm terrible and I should never try again. Just, that didn't go well, and I could do better next time. And I did. I got better. But I only got better because I didn't waste my energy condemning myself for one bad experience. We're almost there. You now know why you're exhausted and how to stop fighting reality. But I need to address one final thing, because some of you are thinking, isn't this just giving up? Isn't this settling for less? Let me clear that up right now. You can be ambitious. You can have high standards. You can work toward excellence. You can pursue meaningful goals. All of that without demanding that you, others, or reality must meet your expectations. In fact, you'll achieve more when you stop exhausting yourself with demands. Here's something that surprises people. Preferences can be just as strong as demands. I strongly prefer to succeed. That gives you the same motivation as I absolutely must succeed. Same desire, same drive, but without the exhausting anxiety and the potential paralysis if things go wrong. Think about what happens when you don't get what you prefer versus when you don't get what you demand. When you don't get what you prefer, you experience healthy disappointment. And healthy disappointment actually motivates you to try again or try differently. It's uncomfortable, but it's energizing. When you don't get what you demand, you experience devastation. And devastation drains your energy and makes you want to give up. This is what I call the performance paradox. People actually perform better when they're not demanding perfection from themselves. Why? Because they're not wasting energy on anxiety about what must happen. They're putting that energy into the actual task. Less self-pressure, better results. You can change reality. You absolutely can, just not by demanding it change. Don't like your job? You can look for a new one. Don't like your relationship dynamic? You can work on it or leave. Don't like your health? You can take action. But you do all of this from I prefer things be different, and I'll work toward that. Not things must be different immediately, or I can't stand it. The ultimate energy conservation strategy is this. Save your energy for things you can actually influence. Accept what you can't control, and that includes what's already happened. This isn't resignation. This is strategic resource allocation. You've got limited energy. You don't have unlimited fuel. Use it wisely. Spend it on action and problem solving, not on demanding that what already happened shouldn't have happened. I worked into my 90s, saw thousands and thousands of clients, wrote dozens of books, gave hundreds of talks, and I did it all from preference and purpose, not from I must be the best therapist or I'm worthless. The lack of desperate demand actually allowed me to do more, because I wasn't exhausting myself with self-imposed pressure. I was channeling my energy into the work itself. All right, we've covered a lot. Let me bring this home for you. You're exhausted because you keep fighting reality, demanding that things must be different than they are. Every should, every must, every this can't be happening is a drain on your energy. But there's a way out. Not through positive thinking or pretending bad things are good. Through rational acceptance of what is, while keeping your preferences and working toward what you want. Healthy negative emotions, disappointment, concern, sadness, those are fine. They're proportional to reality. It's the disturbed emotions, the rage, the depression, the overwhelming anxiety. Those come from demanding reality be different. You learn the disputation method today. Catch the demand. Question it. Ask, where's the evidence? Where's it written? Is this helping me? Will demanding this change anything? Then replace it with a preference. And watch what happens to your energy. You learn that accepting reality doesn't mean approving of it or being passive. It means seeing clearly so you can act effectively. You can accept and act. In fact, you can only act effectively once you accept what is. And you learn that you can have high standards and pursue excellence without torturing yourself with demands about how you, others, or the world must be. Here's your challenge. For the next 3 days, every single time you feel exhausted, frustrated, or overwhelmed, ask yourself, am I fighting reality right now? What am I demanding must be different. Just notice it. You don't even have to change it yet. Just catch yourself in the act of shooting on reality or shooting on yourself. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. And freedom from these exhausting demands? That's what you deserve. You deserve to have energy for the things that actually matter. For the people you love. For the work you care about. For the life you want to build. Stop wasting it on fights with reality that you cannot win. Now, if you found this helpful, there's something else you need to understand. Because even after you stop fighting reality, there's still one sneaky way your mind will sabotage your peace. Most people think they're worried about real problems. But what they're actually doing is something I call creative worrying, and it's keeping you stuck in anxiety even when there's nothing actually wrong. In my next video, I'm breaking down exactly how your brain tricks you into unnecessary worry and the specific technique I use to shut it down in under 60 seconds. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now. It's called Your Anxiety is Fake, and Here's Proof. And I promise it's going to change how you think about worry forever. I'll see you there.